Hello, Father John from St. Ignatius and St. Heliers with you on this, the 23rd Sunday of the year. It's also, in terms of lockdown, we're at stage 2.5, and some things are getting back to normal and some things not. The readings today invite us to think about how we take care of relationships. It's an important part of discipleship. Last Sunday we talked about the following of Jesus, and this Sunday we're talking about, as I said, taking care of relationships. The three readings cohere very well around this theme. The second reading invites us not to look at just individual commandments as if when we're doing something, not doing something, that's enough. The positive side of that is to reflect not only on the thou shalt nots, but on the positive aspirational parts, to keep loving and going beyond those. This call to discipleship, to go beyond who we are now into a space where we love God and love neighbour and love self, is of the essence of taking care of relationships. When we come to the gospel, it is about dealing with conflict. Now, I would not like people to listen to this and feel guilty. This gospel is aspirational. It's something that I as an individual or as a family or as a community aspire to. In the real of life, all of us have our issues. Some of us have had very difficult lives. There's huge pain around, and others for whom whatever life is dealt us, this gospel invites us each in our own way, and each of us as a family, to deal with the issues that we have and which make us who we are, and there see how we can change. If we listen there, we find someone who's hurt another person. Now, in general, a person who does the hurting doesn't normally seek forgiveness. And here we find the person who has been hurt to take the initiative. Before that, I should say what we need to do is take a step earlier than that. And good relationships are like good housekeeping. They need to be done very soon, and then the rest of the day becomes easier. Checking out how are things going before hurt happens is a much wiser and better way of dealing with things. However, when it does happen, then there is an aspirational opportunity to sort it out quickly. A good example is when we have children who have a fight or a squabble. Early intervention allows them to get back on track, and the household as well. Jesus then takes us a little bit further. If the situation does not get better, it says invite 2 or 3 others along. Now, this could be a legal situation, but in this sense it's not. In a community situation, there is always the presence of one another, or of someone who says, look, let's put this in perspective. Let's create a space where people feel free to take care of relationships and move on. When a Christian community like St. Ignatius creates that space, there the call to discipleship, to wholeness, allows us to work towards settling things. The gospel goes further and says, if this doesn't work, take it to the community. And if the community can't manage it, treat somebody like a Gentile or a tax collector. Now, this could mean excommunication, but we have to hold it together with the fact that Jesus reached out to tax collectors, made them his disciples, and also the Gentiles. The point about Jesus' ministry is that it was implicitly meant for all. To throw such people out just doesn't work in a truly Christian community. What it does mean is that the search for wholeness and completeness as individuals and a community means that we sometimes have to hold people in our community with differences or difficulties. The key in this is not to let somebody like that dominate with their issues and take away the Christian identity and Christian reality of a family or a community. In that sense, that is taking care of relationships. In the social scene, it's somehow akin to restorative justice meetings, where instead of locking someone up, you thereby try and take care of the relationship for the wider and the further good. Jesus goes on to say after that whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. We can think of that as rules, but I think if you substitute persons for it, it makes better sense. If you bind someone on earth, they're bound in heaven. But if you loose a person on earth, they're loosed in heaven too. Again, the aspirational call to be a person of love who is together, who is able to deal creatively and constructively with difficulties and conflict and not be dominated by them. A community which enables people to do this is a Christ-like one. Perhaps the one thing we can take away from this is the last part, where 2 or 3 agree in prayer. So family prayer is the thing, I think, that enables us to keep our relationships in perspective. It is this prayer where we find Jesus saying, I'm with you there. So taking care of ourselves, of our relationships, of ensuring that whatever my situation or our situation, that it doesn't dominate us and ruin good lives, but rather creates a context where our journey of discipleship and our aspirational hopes for beautiful relationships are not destroyed, but are enhanced and enabled. Happy praying.